At the Powerhouse Gym in Burbank, California, on a Thursday morning in late September, the floor smelled of rubber and iron and the particular sweat of people who had been working since before the sun cleared the hills. 41 members were present. Some were regulars, some were not. None of them were paying attention to the man pushing the mop along the far wall near the free weights. He was not young. He wore gray trousers that had been laundered so many times the color had given up arguing. His shirt was plain white, untucked on one side. He moved the mop in slow, deliberate arcs, unhurried, as though the work were a form of patience rather than labor. Nobody looked at him twice. In the next 11 seconds, 3 women who had been training at this gym for a combined total of 19 years would stop mid-set and forget what they were doing. A personal trainer with 12 years of competition experience would set down a 45-kilogram dumbbell without knowing he had done it, and the man with the mop would not smile once. Nobody in that building understood yet what they were watching. His name was ANATOLY. He was 51 years old. He stood 5 feet 11 inches and weighed 89 kilograms in the gray trousers and the worn shoes. He was the strongest man in any room he had ever entered. He simply did not announce it. The women arrived at the squat rack at 11 minutes past 8. There were 3 of them. The first had placed second in the regional powerlifting championship 18 months prior. The second held a personal best deadlift of 140 kilograms. The third was their coach, certified for 11 years, who had trained 2 national-level athletes and did not consider herself easily impressed. They carried water bottles. They carried a clipboard with numbers written on it. They did not carry any awareness that the man with the mop was worth noticing. They loaded the bar. They trained. They moved through their sets with the calm efficiency of people who knew exactly what they were doing and had done it 1,000 times before. At approximately 8:22, one of them glanced toward the corner. Then glanced again. The man with the mop had set it aside. He was standing at the unused rack 3 stations down, looking at the loaded bar with the expression of a man reading a bus schedule. His hands were at his sides. He rolled neither shoulder. He bounced on no part of his foot. The first woman said something to the second in a low voice. The second looked. The coach looked. All 3 were still. He approached the bar the way a person approaches a door they have opened 10,000 times. If you want to know what happens next, make sure you are subscribed and drop a comment below telling us where in the world you are watching from. He gripped the bar without ceremony. His feet found their position in 2 small adjustments. He did not look at the weight. He did not look at the women. He did not look at anything in particular. He simply pulled the world toward him and stood up with it. 170 kilograms. The first woman placed her clipboard on the bench beside her without looking at it. That was second one. The second woman's hand, which had been reaching for her water bottle, stopped at the midpoint of the journey. That was second too. The coach took a single step forward, then stopped, because there was nothing to do, nowhere useful to go, and she understood this instinctively. That was second 3. A fight, when it is not a fight at all, is still a negotiation about distance. About the distance between what a person believes is possible and what is actually happening in front of them. ANATOLY was not competing. He was simply occupying the space between assumption and reality, and the gap was wider than any of them had calculated. He set the bar down. He did not drop it. He lowered it with the same measured patience he had used on the mop, and he stepped back 1 step, and he was still. The first woman walked toward him. She was not a person who walked toward strangers as a rule. She walked toward him anyway. She stopped 4 feet away. He looked at her without expression, not unkindly, simply without performance. She asked him something. The exact words were not recorded. They did not need to be. The question was the same question everyone asks when the world has just rearranged itself without warning. He answered in one sentence. He spoke it quietly, at the volume of a man giving directions rather than a man who has just demonstrated something rare. She stood at the fork in the road that every person stands at when the facts have contradicted the story they were carrying. She chose well. She nodded once. She extended her hand. He shook it. He picked up the mop. The coach touched his arm as he passed. Briefly, fingers to forearm, nothing more. To confirm, perhaps, that a person had actually been there. 3 witnesses to a thing that would be told in gyms across that city for years afterward, gaining detail in some tellings and losing it in others. The number of kilograms climbing in certain versions, the expression on his face shifting from neutral to something like a smile in others. Though everyone who was present that morning agreed it was not a smile. It was something quieter than that. The work a man does in silence and the account he gives of himself in public are written in different languages. Anatoly spoke only the first. He had never learned the second, or had learned it long ago and set it down deliberately, the way a man sets down a weight he no longer needs to carry. Next time, we go inside the story of the day a decorated military officer walked into a training facility and made a claim he could not afford to have tested. What happened in the following 9 seconds was not recorded on any camera. But 4 men in that room never forgot it, and one of them eventually wrote it down.